that could be money. Like that could be a really good business. First of all, this should be everywhere. Like to me, this is a no-brainer.
Anywhere where games of skill are legal, this would crush. And I also think this basically takes the Dave and Buster's of the world and...
Dude, this could be a thing. Like this could really be a thing.
You want to build the easy bake oven of record players. The other best part about this too is...
Did you see my tweet about the hole-in-one challenge business?
I saw, yes, definitely saw the headline. You tweeted it during politics season, and I think it got lost somewhere else.
Dude, this went so viral. Like 12, 13 million views across platforms.
Really?
So, yeah. It's this random lake called Lake Taupo in New Zealand that has this little kiosk right alongside the road. You got a kind of a busy highway and then like 30 feet and then a lake. And within that 30 feet, there's like 6 golf tees and a little wooden kiosk with an iPad. And they have 111 yards out. They have a floating golf tee on a platform, and it's about $1 per ball. And you try to make a hole in one, 111 yards out, par 3. And statistically speaking, amateur golfers have a 1 in 12.5 thousand chance of making it.
Okay.
And like, that's an amateur golfer. So like a kid or a casual golfer, maybe 1 in 20,000. And then it's like kind of weird. It's like on the water. So maybe it's moving a little bit. Anyway, they have a hole in one on average once every 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
But yeah, once every 2 weeks consistently.
Interesting.
And so that's 240 grand a year in prize money paid out, 260 grand. And I'm betting that they do about the same in profit.
What's the prize money when you get it in?
10 grand. Sorry. Yeah.
So
10 grand for a hole in one.
So if it's a 100, if it's a 1 in 12,000 shot, and we're assuming that those odds scale up, their margins are 2,500, 2,000, right? Roughly.
Wait, what do you mean? On what?
Sorry, did you say that to hit it in, it's a 1 in 12,000 odds?
Mm-hmm. If you're an amateur golfer.
Oh,
if you're a pro, it's like 1 in 3,000. But
is
amateur is not like an off the street golfer. That's like someone who like golfs regularly, right?
Okay. So,
which I'm sure there are people that try this that golf regularly, but I would think most people are like the top golf crowd.
So I think that's the question, right? Like it's realistically probably then what, 1 in 25,000?
I said 1 in 20. Like in my video, that's what I guesstimated.
Okay.
Which at that number, then it's like 650 grand a year top line. 260 of that is prize money. So now you're at 400. Cool. You pay one employee. Like they're probably doing 200-300 a year. Not bad.
Not bad. Yeah,
so,
that's pretty cool.
First of all, this should be everywhere. Like to me, this is a no-brainer. Like it probably costs $5 million to open a Top Golf versus what does this cost? 50 grand, 10 grand, 5 grand? Not much at all. You don't have to buy a lake. You don't have to buy land. You could lease this cheaply. I think this should be everywhere.
I'm curious if I'm even going in the wrong direction here. What is the legality of this? Because the first thing that comes to mind is like, damn,
gambling.
This week alone, I bet on the election in Robinhood. Like,
same. I had it too, right on Robinhood. It was the easiest bet ever.
Oh my god, I was like, the free money, but everything is getting gamified, like gamified and able to win. And I know one of my buddies, he got into a business a couple of years ago. It's technically like the legal term is called like games of skill or something like that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
So you know about this? Yeah, so there's games of chance, games of skill. Games of chance, slots, blackjack, whatever. Games of skill supposedly means that there is technically someone out there who could never miss on this golf thing, right? And games of skill are legal in the state of Pennsylvania, which is, I think, where he was doing this thing before. So I would say anywhere where games of skill are legal, this would crush. And I also think this basically takes the Dave and Buster's of the world and turns them into like adult-friendly casinos, right? Like you're taking what was Vegas, which is I'm going to sit down, I'm going to chain smoke a pack of cigarettes, I'm going to order 10 Diet Cokes, and then I'm going to try to blow $1,000 on blackjack and hope that I make it big. And you're saying, no, let's take people who want to gamble money and want the feedback loop of that, but put it into areas where there's actually more entertainment that isn't just the dopamine of winning chips, right? And so I think the example that comes to mind for me too here is like fair games, or like down on the Jersey Shore, like you walk along a boardwalk and like you can trip toss the ball on the thing, you win like a stuffed animal, whatever. But like essentially harder versions of that, and figure out what the odds look like, and then give yourself a house edge every time.
You just use math,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And that's what one of the commenters said. He's like, "This is stupid because what if you get someone with a hot hand and you go bankrupt?" And I'm like, "That's statistically impossible. It's it's literally impossible."
Yeah.
You know, like it is. Like there's a reason they have one every 2 weeks for 30 years straight now, because that's how statistics
Yeah.
works, you
Yeah.
know? I Googled it while you were talking about it, games of skill, and it looks like in the four biggest states, Texas, California, Florida, New York, it's legal. And then in some of the really small states, it's not. And then I think everywhere else it mostly is. But couldn't you just frame this like even at Top Golf? Like I went to Top Golf with my kid, and I paid $60 for an hour. And if I give Capital One my email address and I'm entered for a
Mm-hmm.
chance, like if I get it in one of the holes, which it was like an easy hole to get, like my kid did it, and I give Capital One my email, then I have a chance to win X, Y, or Z. Like, what is the difference there?
100%. Right? No, no, I completely agree with you. I also think like this is where you want to talk about like the NIL side of things. How
Mm-hmm.
many athletes can you get that basically like turn into dude perfect? Where it's like if I can hit this full court shot with a baseball bat, I'm gonna win $5,000, and everyone goes out. So like I think I love this idea. I think the only downside I can see to it is you need a lot of space if you want to make multiple versions of this, right? And what you're saying, off the highway, 40 yards, whatever, like that's money. That is perfect every time. I think I wonder if that is the best use of it, or can you find versions that can go off of the casino model, which are still fun and entertaining and feel sport like, but take up less space.
Dude, I'm just so distracted because you said something that triggered me. And it's like you said off the highway, like you said something that I said, but then I thought about it in a different way when you said it. And it's like you said off the highway, right there, it's money. Like picture all the interstates in America, you know, I-75, I-15, whatever. How many times do they go by a big lake or a body of water that's privately owned? How many of those have billboards? Like billboards, I've purchased billboards, I've rented billboards on the highway. It's not as expensive as you think. It's like $400 to $700 a month, oftentimes month to month, and the vinyl banner is included in the price. Okay,
Mhm.
so you could put one of these platforms in a lake. You could lease that tiny slice of land and the tiny slice of lake from someone who probably hasn't even seen the property in years, so he's not going to charge you hardly anything. Put up some billboards. You put a little shed or a kiosk. These freeways, interstates get 30 to 200,000 cars per day. That's the whole marketing plan. That's the whole business. People are primed with a couple billboards like Buc-ee's, right? Like they're primed for miles. And then it's like, boom, right here, arrow pointing down. That could be
Yeah.
money. Like that could be a really good
Yeah.
business.
No, I like that a lot. I feel like, can you franchise it? Would then be my next question.
I think so.
Hey, we have the exact game, the exact system. It's called Money Golf, whatever it looks like. We'll do the full dev. We get maybe we split it 50-50 the cost. You manage everything. That way they have skin in the game. And now your next problem becomes, can we find cheap land in areas with high drive-by traffic? That I like that. Yeah, big franchise opportunity in the games of skill category.
Well, dude, I wrote about this in my newsletter yesterday, but you could do this business as a service. You could go into a neighborhood,
Mhm.
like an HOA. In Texas, every neighborhood has a big lake or a big pond or dozens of them. And I mean, you could literally, this sounds ridiculous, but the analogy I use in my newsletter is, Phil Knight was using a waffle iron to make his first
Yeah.
shoes. He was selling out of the back of his Pinto. So who cares? They have on Amazon like 10 by 10 floating platforms. You could go buy for $150, anchor that sucker
Mhm.
down, put a fake green down, and you could do this as a service and just charge a percentage of revenue. You could just charge up front once. You could maintain it for a monthly fee. Like it could be a self-serve kiosk, right? Like put a little vending machine up. It dispenses the balls. Those already exist. You swipe your card. There's a sensor in the hole. You could buy that from Amazon. When sensor is triggered, then that guy gets paid. It doesn't have to be 10 grand. It could be $100. It could be $50. It could be an Amazon gift card. It could be a draw that pulls people to a neighborhood, to anything. You could do it as a
I
service.
like it. Yeah, I feel like golf is an obvious example. Are there other styles to this? that are as
Yes.
accessible or interesting. Like, no, my mind immediately jumped to a hunting, like a shooting range. That wouldn't fly.
Dude, no. Like this is so SaaS, statistics as a service. Okay. You roll up into a neighborhood, people play basketball at this court all the time, and you say, hey, I've got $1,000 to anyone that could make 5 3-pointers in a row. Oh, I can do that. I can do that. And you just use math. You just use statistics. That's it. Okay. The average guy off the street, how likely is he to make a 3-pointer? Say 20%. Twice in a row, it's going to be 5%. 3 times in a row, it's going to be 1%, right? So 5 in a row, it's going to be 0.05% of making it or whatever it is. You got to pay, it's $5 to play. It's just like a carnival game.
It's 100% a carnival game. The other best part about this too is you're combining two things that guarantee virality. It's sports challenges meets big money prizes every time it works, right?
Meets pride, meets like
Right. Well,
ego.
so I was gonna say the famous quote. I don't think it's a Buffett quote. Somebody had it, which is like the lottery is a tax on the stupid or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I wouldn't say that this is a tax on the stupid necessarily, right? Like it's gambling and like you think you can do it, whatever, but like definitely more of a tax on the cocky or tax on the ego.
But it's great because like they don't have to win.
Right.
They're having fun.
Right. Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
they would pay money to go play golf anyway.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. The activity, right? This is if you take out the money that you can make from blackjack, slots, whatever, people would hate it. Like you're sitting there
Yeah.
pulling a lever, you're dealing cards, and like maybe you get the rush of winning, but like if the chips aren't real, kind of boring. Like, and you pass time.
Yeah.
And like, poker's fun because it's just an excuse to catch up with people. But like this already doesn't have money associated with it, and now you're adding money. So like it makes it way more fun.
Yeah. I think that the trick would be finding the challenges that sound really easy on the surface, but are statistically very hard.
It's better,
You know what I'm
better fair games. Yeah, fair. Like all I'm thinking about is like throwing a ball and trying to knock 3 blocks off a shelf, or like tossing a ring over a bottle. Like stuff where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
with a bucket of rings, I could probably get one. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I agree.
And the hard part would, like with my rolling up in a neighborhood example, you need volume. Like that's also how statistics works,
Yeah.
right? Like you're gonna roll up in a neighborhood, charge $5 to 5 people, and then pay out $100 because one guy happens to win. That doesn't work.
Where's
So
the YouTube video that you made about this again? Where was that?
it was a short. It was like 4 or 5 days ago.
Oh no,
So
no, no. Sorry.
like,
I mean like was this in Texas? Was this in Dallas?
oh, like the original company doing this? It's in New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand. See, so
Yeah.
I would figure out what their traffic looked like and how they're making it popular. And like I like DFW suburbs, like people make money off axe throwing, so you can probably make more money off this.
Dude, like when I started writing about this, every now and then, I talk about a lot of ideas. It's like, I kind of want to run outside and try this right now myself. Cause it's
See,
just so
you
good.
can do. I am jealous that living in DFW, like that area, you can do the more physical stuff. I have the same thoughts all the time with service businesses in particular. And then I flip my camera around here and you just see Manhattan sky rises all behind me, and I'm like, probably like
But it's not like you have less opportunity in Manhattan.
no, no,
right?
no, no. You definitely have more, but like the issue is, and maybe this is an ego thing too. Like I don't want to get out on the street in front of my apartment with all of the
It's
guys who
definitely
just
an ego
robbed
thing.
apartments selling stuff alongside the street. And be like, hey, who wants to buy my knickknacks? And then my girlfriend walks by. She's like, this is what you do all day. And it's like, there's a misunderstanding.
Dude, funny story about that. So did you ever see my post about the guy in New York, Rock
Yep,
Times
yep,
Square
love
that
it.
has the 360
Yep.
photo? Yeah. So I recycled that. I made a reel about it for the first time like a month ago, and I recycled it on Twitter. And the reel did like 1 million views or
Oh, yeah.
something. And the guy in the video, someone sent it to him, and he DM'd me,
No shit.
and I didn't see it. I don't check my DMs. And then he found my phone number, and he called me, and he texted me, and he's like, bro, I got to talk to you. He's like, you got to take that down. You got to take that down. I'm like, what? So I called him back. We spoke on the phone, and it had been like 1.5 years since I had seen him, and there was no communication since. So I'm sure he woke up to all these DMs and like that probably wasn't fun. All right. If you are watching this clip right now, you are watching this on YouTube. And if you are a fan of podcasts, please check out my podcast while you're at it, because sometimes I have podcasts that aren't on YouTube and sometimes I have YouTubes that aren't on podcasts. So check out the Kerner Office on any podcast platform, or you can go to tkopod.com. Also, my newsletter, we'll throw that in there. There are no ads. It's weekly. It's different content than my podcast and YouTube. Newsletter.chrisjkerner.com. You'll see the link and we'll see you there. He's like, dude, you got to take that out. I'm like, why? Like, I literally, everything I said is factual. I asked you if I could post it. You loved it. It went viral a year ago. You loved it. He's like, well, because I don't want people to know I make $2,000 a day, because then like people, I'm not actually the owner, which I think is a lie. And he was just nervous. Like, he just didn't know what to do. And so then he went back, like he completely did a 180 on the phone. He's like, actually, just tag me. Just tag me. I'm like, yeah, I don't mind tagging you. I don't care. I didn't know you were on Instagram. And so I tagged him, and then like it kept going viral. And then he DM'd me again. He's like, I changed my mind, man. Take it down. Like, I don't like it. I'm like, dude, you stop.
Oh, so, man. Well, I wonder if he's just,
anyway.
I wonder if he's afraid that like 5 other people are going to show up with the same thing as him in Times Square tomorrow.
Maybe. I did get a DM from a guy that started it in Puerto Rico based on my tweet. And he's like, I just made $1,000 today.
That's pretty cool. I still get messages. Shout out if people are listening to this and they're one of the people messaging me. I still get messages on the daily about the Botox idea that we had talked about a couple months ago. And
yeah,
to anyone who's listening to this that is still messaging me about it, I kind of sort of put you guys all in a group chat, because like I realize I don't have the time to do more shit right now, and you guys should all still do it, but it can't be me. So
okay, that's good to know. All right, and we have your info in the show notes. Here's an idea for you. I'm going to put you on the spot. So, record players. You see my tweet about that?
Nope.
Okay, so I have a record player. It was sitting right behind me, but it's in the kitchen now. And I never listened to it. I've had it for 10 years. I have some records, but for whatever reason, a couple weeks ago, I pull out a record, emo record from 2003. I start playing it. My kids just like come here in the office, like, what is that? I'm like, oh, it's a record player. How's it work? I'm like, let me show you. Pull up a YouTube video. It's like, what? It's like there's notches and grooves. It's freaking cool. It's like quite amazing that we invented this thing. First of all, we invented the technology for a record player like in the 1800s or 1700s, but there was no way to play the music until the 1900s.
That's crazy.
Like, yeah, like this dude put a bunch of charcoal on a piece of paper and then like blasted sound at it and like noticed a correlation between the waves and the sound. And so like that was the big unlock, but he had no way of actually playing that back for like another 200 years, right? Crazy. Yeah. And so one kid came in and he's like, oh, can we listen? And like, this is music that I play on Spotify all the time, same songs. And like, some of them like it, some of them don't. But on the record player, they're like, oh. And they never left my office. And I was like, oh, my kids want to hang out with me. And then another kid comes in. Oh, how does this work? I'm like, show them the same YouTube video. The other kid, and like all 4 kids are enamored by this record player. And it was like, light bulb, there's something special here. Mm-hmm. Like there's something special about music that you can see, that you can feel, that's not just on Spotify. And I realized like, this is no respecter of age or generation. What is the opportunity here? Do you have, and I went to Amazon, I'm like, record player for kids. And there's like a fake record player for 2-year-olds to like bang on and put in their mouths as they're teething. And that's it. There's got to be something there, right?
Do you think that the opportunity is record players or the nostalgia and like technology behind it? Because I think
any of the above.
I think it feels like the latter more. And I feel like even like I remember growing up being a kid and like my dad would take me to like the Thomas Edison Museum in Jersey or whatever. And like we got to see like all these cool inventions and like see like Alexander Graham Bell, like the first telephone stuff. And that was really cool to me as a kid. And I think like if you're a curious individual and you like the building and the STEM and like how things work, that's the cool part, right? Like I wonder what the interest level would be if you never played the YouTube video. You're like, oh, it's just a box that plays music and I'm busy and I'm doing my thing. Mm-hmm. Would they have stuck around? No, maybe not. But I think they stuck around because you're like, I'm going to show you how this thing works. And I'm going to walk.
I think they were interested irrespective of the YouTube video.
Okay.
Because like once I saw they were really curious and interested, then I showed it to them. Mm-hmm. But like, so they're just watching it spin and the needle and like, and they're not like, these aren't like 3-year-olds, 8, 10, 12, 14,
So, I don't know. Cause I'm thinking too, like I've seen stuff before that like there are lights. I think you can buy them on like Temu or something like that. Definitely a Chinese product where the lights change based on the music. And this is to going back to your point on visualizing things. The lights will change based on the music. There are other ones where it's like little water fountains shoot up based on like the bass and the tempo and the beat and all of that. So I think to visualize it would be super cool. I also wonder like that would be my first response is like selling visualized sounds or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
My second response would be probably a subscription box company of nostalgic goods that you could introduce your kids to. And that would probably be the second thing. I don't know. I
See,
also think that like just like the kits, like I mean, I'm bringing this back to my own childhood. Like I just like to build stuff, whether it was like the Pinewood Derby cars or like a kit on like connecting two light bulbs together to figure out how that all works. And I feel like
mm,
I don't know if that happens as much with the iPad era. Like you've got kids, so you would know.
okay, you just gave me the idea. Okay, because I really I didn't have a period on this thought. I don't know if it's nostalgia because I don't even know if my kids knew that it was an old thing. You know, they just thought it was cool. You
Mhm.
know, and so I do know that there's very few moving parts in a record player. And so, what if? Let me back up. Did you know that record player sales, record vinyl sales, have they bottomed out in 1987, the year I was born, because the CDs were becoming more popular, and tapes were becoming more popular to replace them. They bottomed out in 87, and they've been climbing ever since. Like,
Interesting.
yeah,
Have they ever hit
because
the
they're.
same volume? Do you know?
I don't know about that. I could be wrong. I don't know if they've been climbing ever since 87, but they've been climbing for like a decade plus now. Sales going up every single year. And so there's something there. And I was talking to someone else about it, and like Polaroid cameras are making a comeback.
Yep.
Like the pendulum is swinging, right? We want something we can hold and touch and feel. And it's interesting because it's like, is the pendulum ever going to swing back to where it's like, I just want digital now? I don't know. I kind of don't think it will. Like, it's not like digital will slow down, but
This completely contradicts all the NFT stuff, but like I think physical and in person is going to be seen as incredibly high status. And I'm thinking like I've been thinking about content a lot, like as kind of as we are jamming before we press record here. And this is going to sidetrack the conversation slightly, but I think people will find it interesting. And even this podcast, right? In an age where anyone can have a podcast and jump on the mic and send a Zoom, like this is easy and it's accessible. Now, if we were in a room and we took the time and energy to set up proper cameras and
mm-hmm.
get good lighting, whatever, it becomes incredibly more interesting. The same exact conversation, but just
Yes,
seeing us both at the
yes,
same screen in the same space.
100%.
And I also think like this goes to a social media strategy in an age where it's never been easier to conduct AI generated text and soon to be the I know it's kind of already here, but like soon to be AI generated video, having in-person photos of people doing things like just you walking around like vlogging, even if that's what it is, whatever, it gets to be really, really valuable versus just the home office setup and the, Claude and Perplexity to support on the text and research side. So, yeah, I know that's not what we're going at from like a product standpoint, but I do think that in person and physical will be seen as higher status. The
Yeah.
Polaroids people love, even like every wedding I'm going to now, people buy like 10 disposable cameras and like just hand them out to guests all the time. So I do think that's going to be really valuable.
Dude, okay, first of all, yes, 100% agree. Reminds me of a framework I have. And every time I remember a framework on a podcast, I try to say the word framework because I'm using AI to pull out all my transcripts. And every time I say framework, put it in a spreadsheet because I want a record of them all. But it's like the harder way is usually the better way. And it's like, yeah, you could think of all kinds of exceptions. That's why I say usually.
Mhm.
But it's like the harder way is usually the better way. I think of this podcast, it's talking head, super easy. You hit record, I hit record, pull out a mic, anyone can do it. And the ceiling for podcast episodes like these on YouTube is very low, right? You go look at My First Million, they've got 600,000 subscribers and their average video gets 30,000 views, 5%. Me, I have 60,000 subscribers, the average video gets 3,000 views, 5%. you go look at Cody Sanchez, other people that do out and about, and I don't know a better word for them, where they're out there like on a garbage truck and it takes 8 hours and you have a film crew. It costs $4,000 to edit it and it's hard and it gets hot outside. It rains. Those videos get millions of views, even though it's a video about a garbage truck business.
Yeah.
Because it's harder. It's better. So
Well, and,
totally on board with
and
that.
I was even thinking about this too, because I was like, damn, it would be so much fun. Like I think my ultimate dream goal would be some form of podcast series where it's like almost like Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown for local businesses, and it's like almost like Marcus Lemonis, The Prophet, but like maybe traveling around, a little bit more action based. I think I agree 100% with your comment. Harder is better. Like you have to learn how to act. You have to learn how to look natural on camera. I bet like, for as much criticism as like politicians get or people who are on like these reality TV shows get, like hard. And so like it's hard to look normal. It's hard to like think of something clever to say when you're on the spot. And it's the same way that like people think that stand-up comedy looks easy until you're on stage. And so I agree with that entirely when you want to take to the next level. Inverse of that framework, right? It's like to be good. So to be good, do the hard thing. To get started, do the easy thing.
Yeah.
Because like the reality is
it's accessible.
Right. Like we're both here saying, hey, in-person podcasts are better. They're better to consume. Like I just watched a 45-minute video of Chris Williamson and Mike Israeti working out in a gym in Austin. Like, and they're basically discussing, they're having a conversation. I was like, damn, I kind of feel like I'm just like a fly on the wall in this gym right now, but it's cool. It's really cool. And that's also hard to film a podcast when you're out at a gym. I'm thinking about it this way though too. On the status side, in-person stuff, physical consumer stuff is seen as high status online, probably low status in person to a degree. Like if I see a girl vlogging and like taking an excessive amount of photos in person, I'm like, that sucks. That seems really annoying. Whereas if they're, very discreet about it, they do it behind closed doors, whatever, like still seen as high status in person, maybe like not as distributable online. Yeah, I don't know. That's a random tangent, but it's interesting to see how it's going.
So one funny side note, and then I got to actually get to the idea of the record player because I think I have a good one based on your feedback. You watch The Office?
Yes.
Two of like the best, funniest throwaway moments or lines came from Erin, the redhead that was dating Andy, right? So she gets you said disposable camera. She takes all the pictures and she throws them away. She's like, I still don't understand how this works. It's disposable. So good, right? Yeah. And maybe my all-time favorite non-Michael Scott quote was when Erin was talking about previous jobs and she's like, yeah, I mean, I used to work at the Express Taco Bell, but then they upgraded to a full-service Taco Bell and I just couldn't keep up. It's just so good. So good.
That's good.
So that's my funny anecdote. Now back to the idea. Okay, record players for kids. Here's what I think it should be. So record players have very few moving parts and they're very cool. And sample size of 4 kids, put that aside. I guarantee you that this is not just a Kerner family aberration, that kids think record players are cool. They move, they have grooves, they play music. How does this play music? It's just a needle on a thing. How is that possible? Okay. I think there's a world where you could find a very simple, cheap record player in China. Someone's already making it. And you could reverse engineer it. Maybe it's as like grunt workish as ordering them in bulk, taking them apart, and then repackaging them in like a package for kids. And then it's like build your own record player. And it's literally just like a few screws, cheap disposable screws. It all comes in one package. They build it themselves, so they own it. And then they plug it in and it's awesome and they love it. But here's the moneymaker. All right.
License it with Disney.
Maybe, yes, but not where I'm going with it. The moneymaker is they buy the records from you. Like they're a certain size, like they want Taylor Swift, it comes from you. Like there's something about it to where it has to be like they have to buy specific records that can only come from you for the recurring revenue.
So I can put a title to this segment if you want.
Mm-hmm.
You want to build the easy bake oven of record players.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There's the hook. There it is.
The easy bake oven for record players. Record sales are $2.17 billion market. Kids love them. Vinyl enthusiasts are coming back. I think doing that and then combining any form of licensing rights that you can with like, I don't know your kids, but like, you get Elsa from Frozen on one of those records, and that is a slam dunk.
Mm-hmm. Dude. Oh, that is so good. Like, they're going to listen to it because they built it. They're going to listen to it because it's cool. And even if they didn't build it, it's cool. And then they're going to want to buy records for it because it's cool in 4 different ways. And then they're going to have to buy them from you.
Yep.
This could be a thing.
And
Like, this could really
so
be
I'm
a
not gonna
thing.
lie, I didn't love the idea until we got to that final element, record players
Yeah.
for kids specifically. I'm wondering how valid this is beyond your family, but like based on
Mm-hmm.
the way you're talking about it, I like it a lot.
Yeah. Oh man, this is good. This is a good podcast. This is what I like, where it's like you just kind of you start with like, here's a thought, and then you end with something really cool.
To recap, we got easy bake oven of record players. We've got hole in one golf. Good pod.
Yes. It's good, man. Thank you for coming on. All right, what'd you think? Please share it with a friend, and we'll see you next time on the Kerner Office.